we've been making offers for flats, and I kid you not, there have been people offering 2 years rent up front.
If you wanted to create a housing crisis, you would pretty much do to the letter what we've done in Britain in the last 40 years. You would sell off council houses, more than 1 million, and you would stop councils from replacing them, from rebuilding them. You would have house price inflation, so people on low and then modest incomes can no longer afford to buy a home, which pushes them into the private rental sector. You then don't regulate or reform the private rental sector to give renters any protection against quick-fire evictions. And then on top of that, you consistently don't build enough houses. So rent goes up, competition goes up, and you end up in situations like this. What we're seeing here, Tom, being no doubt, is years, decades in the making. And I have to say, as you've said, the gap between the problem and the solution is big. Both parties, the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, say housing is a priority. I see little evidence that is the case. Rishi Sunak has his 5 pledges, not one of them is on housing. Keir Starmer has his 5 pledges. None of them are on housing. There is little detail in Labour's plan. Many people say what is needed here is a kind of 1950s style response, a mass house building across the country. That is not being proposed by either country. This problem is not a housing crisis, it's a housing emergency, and we're seeing the working poor becoming the working homeless in this country.
Hey guys, back again here, looking at some videos. It's the rent crisis in the UK. We're in the middle of 2025 and it ain't getting any better. Looks like we should have gone back to the 1950s, like the journalist said, but the government isn't proposing anything. We've got some, not wild TikToks, but TikToks that explain from the people what's going on. Let's have a look. I mean, 1800 already for a flat in London. That's crazy money, man. I think that's more than half of, or if what everybody makes. Minimum wage in the UK, you know, it's £12.21 now per hour. Somebody worked there 35, 40-hour week, that would be their whole wage. I don't really understand how people can even afford this. You have to be earning crazy money, but this is insane. This is insane. And the landlords aren't even doing anything. It's ruined their clothes. And it's not even a good property. You're paying £1,800. And it's not a good property. That's shocking.
I pay £400 to live in central London. I live in an abandoned hospital. This is my bedroom. I did used to have a room on the floor above, which was larynx and pharynx floor.
This is a huge room. We're in Zone 1 in central London. How much are you paying for it?
£400 a month.
I know, it's so crazy.
If it's £400 a month and it's abandoned, who are you giving that money to? Surely somebody's in charge of it, right?
The side is you could be given 28 days notice at any time. I'm not a tenant, I'm a licensee and a guardian of a space, which is like the fundamental legal difference. So if I wanted to leave for a prolonged period of time, I probably have to seek that permission. In this building, it wouldn't be hard to get permission because it's so lived in. There's so many people here that it is pretty safe. A couple of people that live on this floor are about to move into their a new guardianship together just as a couple, like a 1-bed flat.
This can't be safe. I mean, we're talking about living in an abandoned hospital. I don't know what the security is like. They're not really talking about any of that. They're just talking about the fact that it's 400 quid. And yeah, sure, that is good. You know, you're not paying as much money, but this is insane, man. Like, the security, what are you going to do? You're not even an actual tenant, so you don't have any rights. 28 days. Say hi, Moji. 28 days. You could get evicted at any time. I mean, you can get evicted anyways in this country as it is, but I don't know. This is it's cheaper. It's definitely cheaper, but there's a lot more risk that comes with it, and you'd have to be a certain type of mindset. If it was me, I don't think I could live there without the concern of waking up and being robbed by somebody else or something else happening. Just me, though.
Rental crisis in the UK. 50 viewers for every available property. Properties going for 10, 20, 30% more than the rental asking price. 6 months deposits becoming the norm. It's tough if you're a renter. Why is that happening then? Well, population in the UK has gone up like a rocket. 8 million people in the last 20 years extra. UK's only built half the number of homes that it needs to cope with that population increase. And so there's a massive demand, not enough supply, and they're essential aren't. So what can we as individuals do? Well, I guess number one, we can moan and about it a lot, but that ain't going to fix anything, is it? Number two, we can pay the extortionate rent. Or number three, we can become part of the solution instead of part of the problem. We can buy houses and we can rent them out. That's what I chose to do. If you're interested in learning about all that sort of stuff, well, Touchstone Education can help you with that. I've just come back from it.
Come on, my guy. This guy is just adding to the problem like everybody else. Or, you know, if you're struggling, the UK economy, become part of it, become a landlord and just buy it. It's that simple. I hate these people. It's that simple. Just buy a property. Just buy a property, rent it out, and become a landlord, and you can go on your lavish trips or whatever else. This is just stupid, man. I can't believe. This is the other part of the problem in this country. We're so into buying properties and renting them back out. It's becoming part of the problem, and you know, people can't afford to pay their rent. People are struggling to scrape enough money to put deposits down on houses, and these guys are just profiteering off of all that. Honestly, it's shocking and appalling, and they do nothing. They say they're providing a service to people. They say that, well, I'm renting out the house, I'm doing all this, I'm doing the maintenance, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Yeah, but you're churning a profit by pretty much doing nothing. It's passive income, and like I said, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and well, we're all just stuck here in the middle fighting for scraps. It's just disgusting, this.
Do you know how much money Sadiq Khan found yesterday? How much empty property Sadiq Khan found yesterday in conjunction with Westminster Council? £20 billion worth of property just sitting there empty while rich people get richer off the back of it. But hey, look, quick over there. There's a refugee who's getting tuppence halfpenny a week in order to eat pot noodles all day. That's disgusting. We can't afford that. How's our infrastructure ever going to cut? It's actually redonkulous, but there we are.
Well, yeah, the UK media is just concerned with immigration, and that's all it points to. Like you said, there's 20 billion of empty property value sitting there. Yeah, we've got homeless on the streets, like we've just seen. People are living in abandoned hospitals. It is crazy, but this is the state now, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of relief in hindsight for this.
The amount of times that loads of my friends just have had to sofa surf for such a long time, because it's like months on end on friends' sofas, and working full time whilst doing that, it's absolutely impossible. And then if you're working full time, this is the other thing: is time is a currency. Time is worth money. The viewings. It's like, yes, this is really popular right now. We're doing viewings tomorrow from this time to this time, and it's like, well, I'm in retail. I actually work at the weekends, or I'm not off tomorrow.
Totally.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we had the same problem when I was growing up, when we were looking around for different apartments. Can you come at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday? Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you've got work. Sometimes you've got school. There's a million different things. Real estate agents can flop around house to house because that's their job, but not everybody can meet that demand. And also, who is available at Wednesday at 11 a.m. to go view a house? How are you going to afford this property? That's going to be the next question if you're turning up at that time. It just doesn't make sense anymore. I know with COVID, there was a lot of online viewings and stuff like that, and they've made it a lot better in a lot of ways, but they still kind of do this same thing now. And to be honest, the real estate agents are also part of the problem. They know they're just turning a profit wherever they go, and I think from the next clip that we're going to see, it's clear that they know that this is a buyer's market and that the onus is on the person renting, not anything else.
You yourself been affected by the housing crisis, you know, coinciding with the cost of living crisis?
Yeah, I was evicted last year because the landlord put up the rent by £400.
£400 a month?
£400 a month, and I can't afford that. I don't know anyone who can afford that, and that's horrible. That's just a common story that we're hearing every day.
How much of your income would it have been to pay that £400 a month increase? Like, would it have been like half your income, like, you know, a ridiculous proportion of your income?
Well, it's already half, so it would have been like maybe 60-70% of my income going on my rent, just for my rent, working half my week. Just
What's left after that? If you're paying 60-70% on rent, what's left after that? And on top of that, she didn't even get the opportunity. She was just evicted. I know that the Section 21 is in the process of getting scrapped, the no-fault eviction, and the one that's staying is the one where tenants just aren't paying the rent. You know, I know the laws in this country are a little bit ridiculous when it comes to tenants as well, because we had something similar happen with our property where we had a tenant and we were trying to move into our home and we had a tenant in there and she just stopped paying rent and refused to move out, and we had to take her to court for that. It became a really long process, especially during COVID, where 1 month evictions turned into 6 months or a year, because at that time you were allowed to give notice for 1 month, but then it got extended to 6 months because of COVID, and it happened just as we were purchasing our property. It made things really difficult. We had to take her to court. It became a long, laborious battle, but at the end of the day, the reason why we were evicting her was because we were moving into the property. These people are evicting these tenants just simply because move them out, put a lick of paint on, whack it on 400 quid, and then there you go. This is just insane, man. Like, I don't know how this is going to get any better and how people are going to be able to afford this level. There's probably another recession coming. We've already had like 3 or, I don't know, 4. I've lost track. But hopefully this gives you a bit of perspective. It gives you some of my stories, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Catch you on the next one.